Thank you. Good morning, and thank you for the introduction. I'm glad that almost everything is said already by Same and you. So I should have. I will not have so much work to do today. So it's good to say something like that. So before I start, I would like to give you many thanks to organizer of the conference, and also it's well organized conference as always. So in the next 20 minutes, I will actually try invite you to learn more about the usage of HPC Vega, and we will actually ask some interesting questions, and of course we will try to answer them. Okay. So the first question is, of course, what is IZUM? Or as you may know, the IZUM is the same as Arnes. Actually, the infrastructure institute we provide mainly. I mean, the main occupation for our institute is actually a library information system. It's called COBIS, and we provide this system to, let's say, all libraries in Slovenia, and also some libraries in Balkan countries. Of course, we also develop and maintain SICRIS, is the Slovenian Current Research Information System. And of course, we are also UNESCO Regional Center. So back maybe some history. Back in 2018, actually our minister gave us an opportunity to cooperate with University of Maribor and also Faculty of Information Science from Novo Mesto. And we started the operation HPC River. The primary goal of this widely operation was an establishment of HPC center and acquisition of public HPC, of course. IZUM starts to cooperate with, let's say, on a national level with SLING, and together with experts from JSI, so Jožef Stefan Institute, we actually, and together, of course, with Arnes and University of Maribor, we actually managed to implement the HPC Vega. Some quick facts. Some already covered some of these facts. So performance is 6.9. We were in production since 2021. The vendor is Atos. It's a French provider for HPC services and equipment, and it is based on Sequana XH2000. And we have around more than 1,000 nodes. They are all connected with InfiniBand, of course, with low latency network. Vega has a large disk. It's 18 petabytes, large capacity storage based on Ceph, and we have 1 petabyte of high performance storage based on Lustre. So power consumption is less than 1 megawatt, and power usage efficiency is below 1.15. The system is already hyper-connected. I mean, it's not hyper-connected for, let's say, 1 terabyte, but it's half of this throughput. It's 5 times 100 gigabit. As Samo mentioned, HPC infrastructure was around 17 millions, and operation cost for, let's say, for the whole operation is around 30 million. The next question, of course, where is located HPC Vega and how it is cooled? Vega is located in IZUM data center. The compute part is directly cooled. This ensures, of course, low energy consumption, and as I said, around 5 to 10 of overall power is needed for cooling. In the middle, you can see the inside of the liquid cooled CPU node. This is for the intended for CPU partition, and 20% of those nodes are actually equipped with 1 terabyte of memory. They are so-called fat nodes. On the right, we can see the GPU node with 4 accelerator. They are based on NVIDIA A100 with 40 gigabit of, let's say, HBM2 memory. With only 60 nodes, the GPU partition can perform up to 3.1 petaflop. Okay, now we will go to share of resources. As you can see, resources are divided between two major shares. Because EuroHPC co-funded around 6 million, that is why 35% of all capacities are intended for users from Europe. So they need to apply to the published calls by EuroHPC. And you can see the most of Slovenian share is intended for open access calls. Only 20% is allowed for commercial access. So this is for industry and other, of course. And of course, as Sam already mentioned, we are fully engaged of supporting the research activities in CERN, and that's why our researchers from JSI, they consume all CPU partition computing resources actually for that are actually not used by others, according to the principle of fair share. So with so-called backfill, the backfill approach, we support the Atlas project, and Atlas harvest around, let's say, 30 to sometimes even more resources over time. Okay. Some already mentioned also that we implemented new SLING rules. Those two tables provide information about proposals and approved project, of course. So on the Slovenian side, as you can see, we started with temporary SLING rules for this success. The main reason is actually that we want to make it easy as possible, to quickly onboard the users, because the system was new back then, and we would just want to ensure the users the easy way to get acquainted with the system. And this year we are starting with adoption with the new SLING access rules. They are actually quite the same as the EuroHPC rules. Of course, we have let's say one type of projects or one type of calls more. This is regular and, or should I say, large research projects. Actually, test or benchmark calls are continuously open, and these projects can last from 3 months to 1 year, and applicants get a small amount of resources, of node hours. For a regular and research and large research calls, they are open 3 times a year and can last, let's say, 1 year, and extension is also possible. These two types are actually production projects, and applicants actually suggest a required number of node hours, of course, and that he needs to perform a calculation for their project. So only large proposals for large projects are actually subject to scientific evaluation, and all other proposals are only assessed for technical suitability. So as you know, maybe on a GEO site is the same, similar approach. So we can compare, let's say, those large research projects, Slovenia large research project to JU, a regular research project, because they both are first scientifically evaluated. Now let's see some statistics and trends. From 2021 until now, we have experienced an ascending trend of accumulated projects and also users. Let's say for the last couple of years, at least 150 users, and for at least, let's say, 50 projects monthly have been running their jobs on our system. This is something that also Samo mentioned. These are actually the new data. As you can see, those numbers are for a regular JU project, and we can say that physics, especially astrophysics, chemistry, and engineering, understandably they lead the way. And of course, we should note that benchmark and development projects also expanded this range of scientific disciplines. And what is the situation for Slovenian researcher? I mean, it's pretty much the same, but there is a visible emphasis on computer and information science project. Interesting is also this question. Of course, when applicants write a proposal, we ask them if they include some let's say deep learning on machine learning on AI principles, and 19 of 49 primary investigate confirm the involvement of AI. So this AI movement is also seen on HPC Vega. So let's mention one of those interesting AI projects. The first aims for deep fake detection. I mean, AI is reality in the new world, of course, for better or for worse, you know, and it could be used to alter to manipulate our perception of the facts. So the science is from Faculty of Computer and Information Science at University of Ljubljana. They are actually engaged in the detection of artificially manipulated images. So I think that the solution based on these, let's say, approaches or methods can boost confidence in trustworthiness of AI in general. The second interesting project is called Hydra 2. It's performed in cooperation with Slovenian Environment Agency. And this is actually the deep learning and AI projects. I mean, the methods are used to, let's say, to improve the sea level prediction of coastal regions. And this can greatly enhance the protection of people, property, or environment. So what are the procedures necessary for European researchers to access this infrastructure? Here are some excerpts from the regular project proposal. As you can see, that together with, of course, scientific description is the first, but the prime investigators, they need to provide information on technical requirements and capabilities, especially in terms of parallelization, scalability, and so on, time to solution, and so on, just to justify the use of the HPC. And of course, the best way is to do that, to test and benchmark their solution with previously applied benchmark or development project. As you can see, a lot of technical details here. Okay, here is needed. It's actually actually needed for our technical reviewers to perform technical evaluation. Okay. So the next question is whether companies can also use HPC Vega or similar HPC system in Europe because of a strict, let's say, state aid rules for using public research capabilities and help companies. We have some limited access. I mean, the companies have some limited access to such infrastructures. On the Slovenian share of HPC Vega open access for company is limited to, let's say, projects where tight collaboration with academia is presented, and on JU side, JU share more reluctant rules apply for using HPC JU share, and where industrial access is actually priority, but limited to only 20% of resources on a given particular call. But this is everything on open access terms, of course, and nevertheless, commercial activities, they are allowed only with the pay-per-use approach. As you can see, we have some companies also in Slovenia that are paying for consumed resources. When you manage an maintained supercomputer, you are always under, let's say, some pressure, and we want to deliver as much computing power to our users. And in 5 years, 5 years of, let's say, lifetime of HPC Vega, we of course understand that our wish is to utilize utilize as much as possible, of course, and with such a large installation and high utilization, it is expected that some nodes or some equipment will fail regularly. The availability for CPU is around 90%. And the availability of GPU partition is unfortunately lower. We have, of course, only 60 nodes, and when one rack fails, then we are at 50% of availability. So you can see here in Q4 2022, the vendor had some issue with internal cooling, so the availability drops significantly. So to track the user, the most important aspect is provided the best user experience together with best user support. And in the case of SLING user support, users are supported by skilled HPC expert. The request tickets are managed fast enough. The system is also extensively documented, and we have almost no complaints. Our server assessments are good, are excellent. This is again an opportunity for, let's say, to thank all the IZUM co-workers back there, you know, and also a colleague from Jožef Stefan Institute for excellent work they provide to support our users. So the next thing, of course, it was also mentioned. We of course support and we collaborate in some project, like with some SLING partners in funded project like EPICURE and SMASH and Intertwin, and some supporting activity also is provided to, let's say, Euro Competence Center and some other centers of excellence. So the last question is about the future of national HPC capabilities. As already someone mentioned, as I said, someone covered all the good parts of my presentation. So Arnes is actually building this new data in Maribor, near power plant Mariborski Otok. And on the ground floor, there on the right you can see which let's say the data center, the room for the HPC. And projected this HPC will be in production around late in 26, maybe more realistic early in 2027. So for the end, let me publicly, I mean this picture is also from some presentation, so it's we are fully aligned. Let me express gratitude to, let's say in quotes, fathers of the HPC Vega, Andre and Jona. I mean, their vision and perseverance culminated in one of the most successful infrastructure project in the field of supercomputing in Slovenia. And many thanks also to University of Maribor and Professor Dr. Ren. He was the leader of the Wide Operation HPC River. And last, but of course not least, IZUM thanks our ministry for all the support provided, let's say, for several years now. So, thank you.
Dejan Valh, thank you very much. Questions for Dejan, maybe from the audience? There is a sir in the third row, please. Can you present yourself, please?
Aleš Časar. You have mentioned that you have 60 GPU nodes in 2 racks. Why have you put all these nodes in just 2 racks? Because in general, as much even distribution as possible is optimal. And are there any reasons for this, or why do you have only in 2 racks?
The reasons is actually this is not let's say an enterprise approach, because in the enterprise there is there you need to distribute the most important hardware into, let's say, several racks. Okay, so in our case, it is better to have one pool or one pool of fully connected GPU nodes. So they are actually put into let's say 2 racks, because this domain, then the Dragonfly domain from InfiniBand, it's better to have these GPUs, because when the user runs the, let's say, some jobs on GPU, GPU nodes and these cards accelerator needs to be fully connected with another. So this is actually the reason.
Thank you. Any other questions, maybe from the chat? Damian or Nursha? Is there anything? Nothing? Maybe just one short question for me, a simple one. During your experience, which was the most complex project Vega had to work on, and which was, in your opinion, the most interesting one?
I mean, the project, I mean, the implementation itself, it was really with a lot of challenges, should I say, and also you know, when you have multiple vendors and you have to bring all together when some issues started, you know. So these are let's say, these are not the project, but procedures that are need to be covered during the implementation, also during the operation of such a supercomputer. But yeah, you know, our let's say our expert from Josef Stefan Institute, also my team, they provide, I mean, good support to users, and every challenge is actually that comes from our users. We try to cover it. So.
Dejan Valh, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.